Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. It's been raining in Chennai, so it's kind of cooled off a little bit, so we're all happy about that. I got a producer, Keshav, behind me, and he himself doesn't know what I'm doing. So anyway, such is life. Anyway, getting back to the point. So what did I want to talk about today, Saturday, on a pleasant evening in Chennai? I wanted to hit upon what Jamie was talking about. Damien, who's the head of Morgan Chase in US, and what he was talking about. His warning, it sent some ripples in the news and the media that Jamie came out and said this warning, and a lot of people had opinions either way. So first I'll break down what his warning is, then we'll talk broadly about what's happening in American banks, and does this warning really hold water. So CEO of Morgan Chase Bank, Jamie Dimon, issued a strong warning concerning about the global economic stability due to the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict and the Ukraine war. As in throughout history, we have always seen conflict is not good for any economy, especially the global economy. When regional conflicts expand into the global theater and it starts setting seismic shockwaves through the global economy, where trade comes to a halt, funds come to a halt, and general uncertainty sends investors scared, pulling their money out of the market. And you can see this while FIs react in a knee-jerk reaction. This is what he means when he says it's going to be dangerous waters as investors. And he goes on to say the impact on the market. He highlights the conflict will severely impact energy and food markets, which is very true, because the conflict is in the Middle East, and the Middle East is the oil reserve for the entire world. Most of us consume oil which comes from the Middle East or the regions around the Middle East. So, which is true. When Hamas and Israel fight, it draws in the regional players like Iran, Lebanon want to be drawn into this. Hezbollah is talking about it. How this will play out, how long it's going to play out, nobody can predict. How severe is it going to be? Nobody can predict. Which is uncertainty he's talking about. Food market, we already know that Ukraine is the breadbasket for Europe and Africa and some other regions of the world, and they do supply a lot of the grains which the world consumes. And the conflict which is deepening between Ukraine and Russia has already been threatening to choke the supply of grains coming out of the conflict. Severely impacts energy and food market, as you were saying, food market, and I was explaining how the food market. So then he talks about disrupting the world global trade, because global trade runs through the Suez Canal. Suez Canal is an artery for the world shipping industry, and we saw what a small traffic jam led to the problem in shipping about a couple of years ago, and a lot of memes went about it. This could be far more deadly if it turns out, where Egypt is also drawn into this. Can't predict. If this happens, what happens to global trade is what he's saying, and could alter geopolitical relationships, because end of the day, even in a country like Saudi Arabia, they're answerable to their public, and if there's a lot of public outrage and outcry about this conflict, nothing can help the leaders but other than softening their stance, and being friends with Israel might not be right now very conducive. And Saudi Arabia, which was right now courting relationships with Israel, saying past bygones be bygones, let's be friends now. Maybe he'll have to take a U-turn on that stance. So all this is what Jamie is talking about when he's talking about dangerous times ahead. Specifically, the potential risk to oil he spoke about, which is the surging oil prices, particularly from major suppliers like Iran, if they get involved in this conversation. And we know what's happening with the Russian oil already. So he's hitting, it's like playing the greatest hits. So Jamie's playing out what we have been hearing for quite a long time. Then he talks about stagflation, which was something which has not been spoken much in the media, which Deutsche Bank has also spoken about. It's saying there's a risk having a 1970s style stagflation because of this conflict, representing a period of very low growth and very high inflation. Are we going to get into stagflation? One must realize all these analysis which we do nowadays is looking back. Looking back at the history of 1970s, we analyze and we say this is what happened. Looking back at the time of World War I and World War II, we say this is what happened. Looking back at the time of the banking crisis of 2007-2008, we say this is what happened. But what is happening right now and the consequences of these actions are very uncertain. This is what I want you to keep in mind. Yes, there are warnings. Yes, there is things which can happen, which can go wrong. But are they going to happen at the extreme situation, what Jamie is talking about? I don't know. But he's a very smart man that we must all give him credit for. And he's running a bank very successfully and is doing very well. Then he talks about consumer spending. He says, despite this economic uncertainties, consumer spending appears to be resilient and returning to pre-pandemic levels, which is something great. Then he talks about JP Morgan, meanwhile, has demonstrated strong third quarter results, which is what I was talking about, with a 22-year-on-year revenue increase of 35% to the net income. This is all attributed mainly to rise in interest rates and acquiring assets like the First Republic Bank, which he's very honest about. Of course, the bank's bottom line would improve substantially when the interest rates go up because they're getting more money for all their loans. And of course, First Republic Bank, when it went under, Morgan Chase was asked to step in and swallow it, and which he did. And by acquiring that asset, he's enjoyed a nice, healthy meal from swallowing that bank. Despite these uncertainties and economic conditions, JP Morgan has managed to retain its depositors and benefit from the rising interest rates, leading to significant increase in earnings from loans, which is what he said. And he refrained from making any dire predictions about the impending recession, but mentioned robust loan growth and highlighted the risks such as inflation and rising interest rates can have. Other major banks like Wells Fargo and Citi have also reported very strong earnings, driven mainly by the rising interest rates, showcasing resilience and during these economic uncertainties. Citibank right now is going through a major restructuring, which we have spoken about, Anand and me, where they're letting go of their operations in India and they're letting go of their operations in China. Is it the right thing to do? A lot of people are saying they're very profitable businesses, they're selling, but we have to see what happens in Citi. So Citi right now is going through a major restructuring. They've let go of a lot of staff, at high value staff, and management level staff. So we have to see what is happening. And even in their investment banking, they're sitting with an interim head. We have to see who comes as their permanent head for investment banking. So what does all this mean? Yes, he does talk about dire situation. But the reality is the three big banks in the US are doing very well. Bank of America results are coming out this coming week, I think. So we have to wait and watch that. But most of the focus, what Warren was talking about and Charlie was talking about, were not in the big banks. These big banks have trillions of dollars in reserves. And their exposure to toxic assets only might be in billions. Even in credit card, Jamie had set aside quite a huge reserve for their credit card in case there was a huge credit card default. Now that default wasn't as severe or as bad as they expected, so those reserves have been drawn back. So it shows you big banks are doing okay. With interest rates rising, it's helpful for them. They're doing even better. What Charlie and Warren were talking about was in regional banks. And in the US, it's very different from India. There are lots and lots and lots of regional banks, very small banks. And all these banks are driven by depositors depositing money. Yes, rising interest rates helps these banks improve their deposits, drive a lot more people come and deposit money in their bank once the interest rates start going up. But the flip of it is all the loans these banks have given can start turning sour because of these higher interest rates the loans are going into. So refinancing might not be an option for most of these guys who are there. And we have to wait and watch till 2025 to see the effects of these bad loans. There are analysts on both sides, people like Warren and Charlie, who are saying it's going to be tough times. And we do have analysts sitting on the other side who are saying it's not going to be so bad, that maybe we have exaggerated this. In the middle of all this, we have the Israel-Hamas conflict. How it's going to play out, we don't know. So my advice as investors is play it close to the chest, as Anand says, as we say in batting. Keep your bat close to you. Don't go fishing for these balls. If you see a nice juicy one going far from your off stump, don't flash at it. You might just get caught. So be careful out there. And I wanted to share this with you and have this conversation with you today. And I hope you found it informative and entertaining as always. And I'll see you in the next one soon. Thank you for watching Be Rich Today. Bye.
It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.